The biggest problem in the aisle isn't what you think it is. Every survival game will immerse you in a world where life and death decisions play a vital role to your existence. Every survival game will aim to give you a taste of reality in virtual space. Every survival game has that one thing that can make or break the entire experience. Sometimes it's mix packing. How fun. Sometimes it's the mechanics. Sometimes it's the fact that an 8-ton Triceratops can somehow be defeated by prehistoric Gex. Although entertaining to watch, some of these situations may be annoying at times, especially for the Trike, but it's still not enough to be considered game-breaking. We're talking about something a little less exciting today and a lot more important. The main problem facing the R right now is stability doesn't exist. Explanation. In theory, it doesn't exist because everything is working as it's intended to work. So this invisible problem isn't a problem yet. In other words, no one logs into a game and says,
"Hey, this game is working exactly as intended."
Unless the game is unstable. But what does this mean? Stability is the consistency and reliability of a game's performance. It's the foundation that keeps you happy and engaged behind the scenes. A stable game maintains performance, keeps systems running as they should, and allows the players to interact with the world without interruptions. While on the opposite side, an unstable game will force issues such as lag, desync, crashes, anti-gravity physics, the usual stuff. In any online survival game, especially a game like the Isle, stability is one of the most important things to consider because almost every action depends on timing and accuracy. Whether it's to do with hunting, escaping predators, territory disputes, or group combat. Even something as simple as drinking water or eating and you can become a lunch. When stability suffers, it becomes a game where your actions are based more around luck than skill. Imagine, you're fighting another player, you dodge an attack. On your screen, you're completely safe, but on their screen, they just landed a direct hit. The server now has to decide who it's going to believe, and sometimes the answer is neither of you. Everybody loses. One of the most common symptoms of poor stability is desynchronization. That's when different players are effectively seeing different versions of reality, which sounds like the plot of a new science fiction movie. Unfortunately, it's just network problems. The reason stability is so important is because it directly impacts trust. Players need to trust the game. They need to trust that when they land an attack, it counts. When they avoid danger, they survive. When they spend hours growing a dinosaur, their progress isn't going to disappear because the server suddenly decided to perform an impression of a potato. Survival games are built around investment, time investment, emotional investment, sometimes questionable life choices at 3 a.m. The more players invest, the more damaging instability becomes. A small technical issue which can suddenly feel like a major loss. So, how can stability be improved? Well, there isn't one magical fix. Stability is usually the result of dozens of systems working together efficiently, but there are a few key areas that often make a huge difference. Server performance. The server is essentially the referee of the entire game world. If the referee is struggling to keep up, every player starts feeling the effects. Better optimization, improved server hardware, and reducing unnecessary server calculations can all help create a smoother experience. Second, network synchronization. Players need accurate information as quickly as possible. The better the synchronization between the server and the client, the fewer moments where combat feels unfair or unpredictable. Third, system optimization. Large groups of players, AI creatures, environmental systems, and world events all consume resources. Optimizing these systems allows the game to handle more activity without turning into a stuttering mess of dinosaur noises. And finally, bug fixing. Not the exciting answer, not the answer that people want to hear, but stability is often improved through hundreds of small fixes rather than one giant update. Every crash prevented, every desync reduced, every broken interaction repaired. They all add up. And just like any other game, which is pretty frequent with their updates, the owl is one of them. And the issue that this causes is that every time there's a new update, it seems to misfire on something that happened previously, which ends up with a patch note, and then another patch note, and then another update, which will then pretty much eradicate all the fixes that have just been made. At its core, stability isn't a feature. It's the thing that allows every feature to function properly. Players can forgive balance issues. Players can adapt to gameplay changes. Players can even survive being eaten by a giant predator. Sometimes. But when the game itself becomes unreliable, it starts affecting every part of the experience. That's why stability matters so much. Not because it's flashy, not because it's exciting, but because a stable foundation allows the game to become the best version of itself. And in a survival game where every decision matters, that's something worth investing in. But that's just my take. Let me know what stability issues you've experienced. What improvements would you like to see? And whether you've been defeated by lag, desync, or a dinosaur that apparently learned how to teleport. Everybody, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the servers.
Should be